Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's webinar. Today, we are going to be discussing our newest updates to the SLX-D system, the SLX-D Plus, and showing you how to make it work for you and unlock all of the amazing new features. But before we get into that, just a few items of housekeeping. First of all, this session is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing. It'll take us about a week or so to get it edited, but once it is ready, it will be viewable at shure.com/webinars. Once again, that website is shure.com/webinars. Additionally, that is a great place to go to see all of our past archived webinars. We have so many sessions across so many different audio topics, so please feel free to go to shure.com/webinars, see all of our past sessions, and that will be where the new one is. Additionally, we will send an email to everyone that registered for it, so you will have that link in your inbox once it is ready. Second of all, as we go through the session today, if you have any questions, please feel free to type those in the Q&A section. There are two places that you can interact here on this Teams webinar. There is the chat and there is the Q&A. Please feel free to use the chat to talk amongst yourselves, make your commentary, but I urge you very strongly, please keep your questions in the Q&A section. If you accidentally type them in the chat section, I might miss them. So type your questions in Q&A, be patient, and we will answer as many of those as we have time for at the end of the session. So speaking of today's session, let's just dive in here. We have two fantastic panelists. We have my colleague here from Shure, Paul, and then we have a very special guest, Scott. And Paul will be introducing us to Scott a little bit here after we go through this agenda slide. So we're going to start with an overview of the new SLX-D Plus wireless systems. Then we're going to kind of dive into the nuts and bolts of that. There's going to be some video tutorials, so all sorts of good stuff. And then after that, we're going to dive into that Q&A. So without further ado, I am going to kick it over to my friends Paul and Scott, and they are going to dive into all this good stuff. So take it away, gentlemen.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, Cheryl, for that. Our guest today, I don't think really needs an introduction. Many of you probably already know him. You've seen his video. You've seen him on stage. And that is Scott Uhl. Thank you very much for joining us. He's a touring guitarist and music technology professional. He's done a lot of great work. And then on YouTube, he has been phenomenal with his reviews of different products and sharing knowledge with all of you as musicians or as engineers, producers yourselves. And I appreciate, for one, his honest reviews and his feedback and thoroughness in that he really goes through the products really well. So thank you, Scott, for being here for that, and thanks to our friend Russ for bringing us together and setting all this up. So appreciate that. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm honored to be here. So thank you so much.
Yeah. So before we talk and have a conversation on SLX-D Plus, first we want to go through kind of a product overview. If you're not familiar with some of the new features and benefits of SLX-D Plus, we want to talk about that first, and then we'll get into a conversation with Scott about how he's been using this product and putting together his product review for this, and kind of talk to you and show you how you can use this product. So the new SLX-D Plus system is an upgrade over the previous SLX-D system, which we launched several years ago. And this new system really unlocks a ton of new features in this mid-tier wireless market that's really not seen in a lot of other products. And so it's very unique in this area. Of course, it's a digital system, so you get the 24-bit digital audio that we provide. But one of the biggest key features to this new system is that it's getting away from the narrow band. So you don't have to worry about, I'm in this area, is this band going to work for me here? Or if I go there, the new system is a 138 megahertz wide tuning range. So you don't have to worry about using frequency finder or any of that stuff. And which band do I need? You can just buy the system and take it with you wherever you're going to go and be able to use it. There's also been an increase in how many systems you can use. The old SLX-D system had a max of about 32 simultaneous systems, and now with the new system, you can get up to 85 simultaneous systems. It's still about the same performance in terms of, TV channels, how many systems you can get in a single channel space. So if you're in a high area like Miami or Phoenix or someplace like that where there's only a small few of available TV channels to use, you can get up to 11 systems in that, or 14 if you're overseas. The latency has also dropped. So the old SLXD system was a 3.2 millisecond latency, and the new system is a 2.8 milliseconds. With the quad receivers, you have cascade outputs, and so you can cascade to other receivers from there. And so really you can get anywhere from 5 channels all the way up to 12 channels of wireless without needing an external antenna distribution by pairing the quad with singles or duals or other quad receivers. So you can really put together a lot of different size systems without needing that external antenna distribution. And it uses the same batteries as the old SLX-D, so it'll be the SB903 batteries and the same chargers for that. But some of the new features that we've got in this is ShowLink Ease. We'll get into that a little bit more. These are the things that we're going to really talk about with Scott and dive into on how to use them. And that's ShowLink Ease, which allows a two-way communication between the receiver and the transmitter. We also have interference management, so you're going to get alerts if there's any interference on a channel. But then there's manual and automatic interference management, and we'll talk more about that. There's also a digital feedback reduction. This is an algorithm that we pulled from our other software, our digital feedback reduction software and old hardware that we used to have. We put this now on every single channel within the SLXD system, so you get feedback, automatic feedback reduction on any channel that you turn that on. We also have encryption and audio summing and direct integration with Wireless Workbench Mobile. We'll talk about that at the end. You don't need a router to be able to control your system. You can just connect your phone directly to the receiver and control the system using Wireless Workbench Mobile. And then, of course, it's backward compatible with legacy SLX-D. Now, obviously, you lose some of these feature sets like the ShowLink Ease and the interference management, the wideband tuning. So if you're going to use legacy SLX-D products, whether it's a receiver or a transmitter with a new Plus system, you will have those shortcomings in the feature set for that. So moving on, transmitters are all the same. We have the SLX-D 1 Plus body pack, the 2 Plus handheld, which comes with a variety of capsules. And then we have the SLX-D 3 Plus plug-on transmitter, which can take mic or line inputs, and it also has phantom power, can provide phantom power, so that's a useful tool to use. And then for receivers, we have several different receivers for the SLX-D Plus line. We have, go to the next slide. Yeah, so on the left, go back one more. Yep, so on the left there, we have the SLX-D 5 Plus. If you've never seen this one, this is the portable receiver. This is a single channel receiver that you can easily mount to a camera or put into a mixer bag or take with you anywhere. And you can create a multi-mic mode. There's where you can create a list for multiple transmitters, so you can sync multiple transmitters to this pack and be able to switch between transmitters without having to resync them. So that's a super helpful portable receiver. We have the new SLX-D 4 Plus single channel receiver with your analog outputs and network port only for that one. And then we have a half rack dual. It's not a single rack anymore. We've shrunk it down to a half rack. So we have a half rack dual that's also network control only with analog audio outputs. And then if we go to the next slide with the quads, we have 2 different quads, which you've already seen. These have been out for about a year now. So a lot of you might already have the Quad Plus in your racks. And so you can update these. If you go in to Shure Update Utility and update the firmware in these, you will unlock all of the new Plus features. They're already there. And then when you add the SLXD Plus transmitters, then you'll have all of that feature set available to you. So we have two different versions of this. We have a network only, and then we have one with Dante audio. So you have a primary and a secondary Dante ports for that. And so those are the receivers and transmitters components that we have. Next slide.
Hey, Paul, I'm going to hop in for just a minute. Some people are having some issues seeing the slides. We are showing the slides, so you might just want to check your view settings, but they are viewable and some people are seeing them. Just check your settings, but we are showing slides. So sorry for the interruption.
No, that's okay. So that being said, Scott, what has tell us a little bit about your just experience? When did you get these SLXD Plus? Kind of how long did it take for you to learn everything, and then how has it been your experience and then using the system?
Yeah, I've been using it for about the last 8 months or so. Especially since I had SLX-D, like the legacy models, it was very quick to understand how to use SLX-D Plus. The best word I can think about is just flawless. I mean, it's been so easy and flawless to use this system. I've had zero issues with it in using it at all the gigs that I've used it at. And it's just nice to not even have to worry about it. I just get there, I scan. I don't even have to sync with an IR port anymore, which is awesome. I love doing that. Anything that saves time, that's super helpful. And I will show that with ShowLink Ease here in a minute. And just the not having to worry about it. If it gets interference, I know it's going to automatically take care of that. Obviously you can still use it with wireless workbench, and have manually control it if you want to, but for gigs where I'm running sound and or I provide the wireless and I'm playing guitar, I just don't worry about it. I set it up. And I don't know if anyone watching also has this problem, but I just have one or two bandmates who never seem to scan ever. I don't know why. And once out of every 5 gigs, they always turn on their wireless pack and it's always set to one of my frequencies. So, so especially with this, now I don't even have to worry about it, because even if they do that, it's okay, it's going to automatically update. And then as you guys will see in a minute, it'll update on the transmitter and the receiver, and just the show goes on like nothing happened. So you guys released a video that said it's the wireless that wants to be left alone. I think that's really a brilliant way to word it. I mean, the full UHF frequency range, automatic interference management. It's just been awesome, man. So yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah, whenever I was looking at it and testing it and running it, it was one of those things where by the time you noticed that there was a problem and figured out what it was, the system has already fixed it for you.
Yep.
And so that it happens that quickly. So that was one of the nice things that I saw in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, it's just easy and no worries. So which I love about it.
Awesome. All right, so let's jump into this. I think we're going to talk about ShowLink Ease first. And I think we have video. We're going to play a video for that just to kind of show you what it is. But ShowLink,
I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in right quick. I guess some people are still having trouble seeing slides. I'm going to try to stop sharing and reshare, and hopefully that will solve the issues for everybody that are still having issues. So give me just 1 second here.
Some people can see it fine.
Yeah. Okay, give me just a second.
Well, while you're doing that,
thank you.
So some of you might be familiar with ShowLink. ShowLink has only been available through our high-tier wireless system, Axient Digital, and this uses a 2.4 gigahertz remote that connects to that system, and then when you use ADX transmitters with that, then there's this two-way communication that happens with the receiver, and so if there's any interference in that system, then the receiver pulls a new frequency from the 8600 spectrum manager. It spits it out to the receiver and the transmitter, and they switch channels simultaneously, and it happens instantly. And so that's what ShowLink is, if you're not familiar with it, is this two-way communication where you can make changes to the receiver, or I'm sorry, you can make changes to the transmitter via the receiver or via a wireless workbench. You can make those changes, and those changes are automatically updated in the transmitter itself. And so that's what that two-way communication is. Now, with SLX-D Plus, we have ShowLink Ease. And so this ShowLink Ease is happening over Bluetooth technology. And so it's not quite as instantaneous as ShowLink is with Axient Digital. There's a little bit of an audio dropout whenever the system is performing its automatic interference management. But otherwise, it's a seamless communication back and forth between the receiver and the transmitter. As you make adjustments to those parameters, they instantly happen in the transmitter. And it's super easy to set up. Unlike Axient Digital, where you need a separate ShowLink remote and specific transmitters to have that feature and to use that, with SLX-D Plus, ShowLink Ease is available on any of the Plus receivers or transmitters. And you don't need an external device because it's all happening via Bluetooth built into those devices. Are we ready? Let's back up now. Perfect. All right, so let's show a demonstration of how easy it is to set this up. And these are all videos that Scott created for us, so thank you very much for this. And so we'll watch this and we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards.
So I think most people with wireless are familiar with syncing via the infrared port. So you just line up the infrared port on the transmitter and the receiver. You push the sync button, and it says that it is successfully paired. The thing that's great about the SLX-D Plus is you actually only have to do that one time to set this up initially. After that, the transmitter and the receiver are connected together via ShowLink Ease. So watch this. If I go into this channel now, and let's say that I'm going to go and do a single channel scan, it's going to scan, it's going to find this channel, and watch what happens to the transmitter when I hit apply. It sets the transmitter and the receiver to the new frequency. I don't have to line up via the IR port. It just happens automatically. These two are automatically connected. And here's what's great about this is when I get to a show, I can go to frequency setup and then initialize my system. And this is basically going to do a group scan. This is going to scan for all four since I'm using the quad. It'll do the same thing if you're using the portable, the single, or the dual receiver. I'm going to hit assign. And it's now assigned 4 new frequencies for all of these. You can see that the one for Tony vocals is already paired and connected successfully. And you'll see as soon as I turn on Rick's vocals, normally I'd have to do the IR sync, but as soon as I turn this one on, it sets it automatically to the correct frequency, and you can see that these two are paired. When I turn on the pack for Tony's guitar, you can see that that one pairs automatically as well. And you can see when I turn on the pack for the acoustic guitar, it's automatically going to send that new frequency over as well. Saves a ton of time from having to manually IR sync all of them.
Perfect. Yeah. So to jump into there on that back part, right? So whenever he turned on those other transmitters, they synced up with their channels. Now, Scott, you had originally done an IR sync on each of those to establish that that link between the transmitter and the receiver channel. And so that's why whenever he turned them on, they automatically updated to their receiver, right?
Yep, correct. Yeah, you just have to sync the first time to set that pairing to them, and after that, you never have to use the IR sync again.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can sync up to 2 transmitters per receiver channel. So say, for example, you're doing some presentation and you have a handheld and a belt pack. You can have them both linked to the same receiver, so you can switch between them if you're not sure which presenter, which one the presenter wants to use, whether they want to use a handheld. You can set it up so that both of those retransmitters are connected to that, linked to that receiver for that. That happens in a separate menu setting where you can go into the transmitter settings and add that second receiver. And then it'll tell you to do an IR sync with that second transmitter for that. But just as a fair warning, if you accidentally sync a transmitter to that receiver channel, it's automatically going to create a ShowLink connection with that. And so your other transmitter that you may have had synced with it previously is now going to be disconnected to that. So if you accidentally sync the wrong transmitter, make sure you go back and resync the right transmitter, because it will lose its connection. And so you saw that on the display. There's this little double arrow icon that shows up on the receiver display, and it'll show up on the transmitter. And that tells you that there's that ShowLink Ease connection between them. If you don't see that double arrow on icon on the receiver channel or on the transmitter, then that means it doesn't have a ShowLink that ShowLink Ease connection. It may still be connected to the receiver frequency channel, but that ShowLink Ease connection is gone. So you'd need to go back and resync that. Because it is a Bluetooth transmission, it does have a limitation in range. If you get past 100 feet, that doesn't affect audio performance at all. And once you come back within range, it automatically reconnects for you. And so you don't have to worry about managing it after that. So, yeah. So that's ShowLink Ease, and it's that simple.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so great. Anytime I have to sync anymore, I'm like, do I really have to? Because this thing has just made you spoiled. So if you if you use anything else, So
do you catch yourself going back and going, oh, I got to resync my channels, and then you remember that you don't have to?
Yeah. No. Well, after a while, I got used to doing it this way. Yeah. So which is cool.
Yeah.
I'll scan it and then just give like my bandmates their packs. So yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So then are we doing good, Cheryl, on slides? People can see them?
Yes, I think we're fine now.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So let's go ahead to, it is interference management. Sorry, you already clicked over. So this one we're going to talk about. So the ShowLink Ease connection, there's a lot of benefits to that, and interference management is probably the biggest one. But you can go into the receiver and you can change things like RF power, switching it from low to high. You can change the mic offset. You can do an RF mute for the transmitter if you want to. There's a lot of different settings that you can change and that communicates with ShowLink Ease. But probably the biggest one that a lot of you are going to be excited about is this interference management. And so let's play this video real quick and demonstrate how that works, and we'll talk a little bit more about it.
So as far as setting up the interference management, you can set them up separately on each channel if you want, if you're using a quad like this. I'm going to set this up on the first channel right here. I'm going to go to Device Configuration, RF, and then Interference Management. So you have 3 different modes that you can choose. You can do Alert, where it'll just give you an alert, Manual, where you have to manually change it, or Automatic, which I think is what most people are going to want, because this is automatically going to change the frequency of the transmitter and the receiver if it gets interference. So you can see that Tony's vocals are currently transmitting on 502.700 megahertz. So if it gets interference on that frequency, it's going to auto-update that frequency. So I've set this Shure Accent mic right here to be on a similar frequency, one that would cause interference, and you're going to see what happens. FYI, it doesn't have to be a Shure mic. It can be anything transmitting near this frequency. But as soon as I turn this microphone on, watch what happens. It detects that there's interference. It's scanning. It found a new frequency, and it sends that over. You can see that the transmitter and the receiver have successfully reset to the new frequency. So pretty impressive. If you got interference normally, you would have to run over, do a quick group scan, and then resync. But this happens automatically thanks to ShowLink Ease.
And that happens pretty quickly. What's been your experience with that. Have you gotten dropouts during a show before where this has happened?
I haven't had it happen live, but like I said, I've had it happen like where everyone turns on their wireless and someone's set to the same frequency. So I'll see that it'll automatically happen. So like during like sound check, I've noticed it, and it is very fast when it does change. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Typically it'll be, max maybe 5 seconds, but I've seen it, happen in like 3 seconds. It's pretty quick. So there will be a slight audio dropout. You'll recognize it as, as any normal audio dropout that you would get in interference. But the nice thing is that it won't keep happening. It'll happen at one time, and then the system will automatically switch to a new channel, and you won't have any more dropouts unless obviously there's some other interference. So there are 3 different modes, like Scott talked about. There's the alerts mode, and manual and automatic. And I want to talk real quick about why you would use one of those, or which one you would use. If you're managing your system with Wireless Workbench or with Wireless Workbench Mobile, and you don't want the system to manage itself, right? You're managing that through something else. Then the alerts, I would probably just use the alerts mode. That way you're getting the notification that there is interference, and then you can manage that yourself through your control software that you're doing. For manual mode, I would recommend that because, like Scott said, whenever you get the manual mode, it gives you the option to press enter, but then you have to go in and specifically tell it what group channel or what frequency to tune to. So I would use the manual mode when you're operating off of a specific list. You've gotten to an event, maybe there's an RF coordinator already there, and they're giving you a list of specific frequencies that you can use, and backup frequencies that you can use. That's when I would use the manual mode for this, so that you know that, hey, I'm tuning to, these are my frequencies that I'm available to use. If I get a problem, I can go in and tune to one of these specific frequencies. And then I think automatic is pretty much for everybody else. You don't want to have to mess with it. You don't have to think about it. And you might think to yourself, well, why do I need to initialize a system, if it's going to, automatically take care of itself? I would still initialize the system from gig to gig, so that you make sure that you're, wherever it is that you're performing, you're still in the best group with the most available channels, because when it's getting that automatic interference, it's doing a channel scan, so it's scanning within that group that you've already been assigned, that you're already assigned to, and so when you get to that gig, you want to do that initial system setup to make sure you're operating in the right group. And that way, when it does the automatic interference management, it's scanning within that group to find the next available channel.
Yep. So always scan at the gig.
Yeah.
Yep.
Always scan at the gig.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say for this, so if you do use Wireless Workbench, and sometimes when you deploy, scan, when you calculate for frequencies, sometimes Wireless Workbench will assign a specific frequency, not in a group channel setup, right? And so in that case, when the SLXD Plus is operating on a specific frequency, automatic interference management will operate like manual mode, right? Because when it does a channel scan, it's scanning within a group. And if it's not assigned a specific group, then it doesn't know what group to do a single channel scan within. And so it's not going to be able to do that. So when it gets interference, it'll pop up in manual mode where you can press enter and then tune to a specific frequency. Like I said, that only happens if you've done coordination through Wireless Workbench or some other software, and where a frequency has been assigned to that channel that's not in the group channel designation. So I just want to make everybody aware of that might happen if you set in automatic, but it's behaving like manual mode, then that's the reason why. That's it. Okay. The next great feature is the DFR, and this is the digital feedback reduction that you can use for that. And Scott did a great video for that. Is your dog okay?
My dogs did not like this part of the video. So yeah, so I shot this as quick as I could. So yeah, I was like, okay, that's enough footage. Yeah. So and I gave them treats afterwards. So
okay, yep. Good. All right, so let's watch this one and see what happens.
So on any of the channels, you can turn on the digital feedback reduction. Let's go into Rick's vocals for this one. And you go down to audio settings and then feedback reduction. You either have this on or have this off. So I'm going to have this on for a vocal mic. And you're going to hear what's going to happen when this microphone gets feedback. So here's a demo of it working. I have my studio mic in front of this speaker right here, and I'm going to bring the Shure SLX-D Plus mic in front of it, and I'll show you how it captures the feedback. You can hear that it's notching out those frequencies. As soon as it gets that feedback, it notches out those frequencies. Takes a little longer with the lower ones, but it definitely works. Pretty cool to have that built into your wireless.
That's awesome. Yeah. Great job with that. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
so you can do, so there's up to 16 filters, notch filters for that. You can leave it on, and if you do, then the notch filters will dynamically change. Now, one thing to let you know of is that the first 8 filters will actually automatically lock. The system treats them as a kind of fundamental frequencies as the most problematic. So those first 8 frequencies will lock once they've been set. Anything after that, the next 8 filters are then dynamic. So then they will move as you're moving around the stage. You might get different feedback in different areas, and so that will flux and move and change and adjust as you go along. You can go in and once you've gotten up to, you don't necessarily have to get up to 16. You can get up to however many. But once you're satisfied with that, if you want to, you can lock them down so that they don't change after that. Or you can just leave it open so that it dynamically changes. Scott, what's been your experience using? Have you used this feature on stage?
I have them on, and again, it's just more of like, for me, it's more of just like that I don't worry about it, type of thing now, because if it does get feedback, I know that it'll take care of that for me, just like the interference management. I haven't had any feedback since I've used this, so maybe that's because it's already notching them out. Nice. So it's been good. What I really want to test it on, especially for this, is if anyone does like speeches, or like if anyone has it, work for like a corporate event or a wedding where someone is supposed to give a speech, and instead of holding the mic right here, they hold it down at their waist, which I think everyone knows exactly what that's like. And then I'm trying to ride the fader up, and they're like, "Can you turn the mic up?" It's like, well, that's not how it works. And I think it's going to be really.
I can, but something's going to happen, and it won't
exactly.
be pleasant.
Yep. Exactly. I know we've all been there. So I want to try it. I really want to use it for that specifically, because I always run into that issue where someone's not holding the mic correctly, and I have to try to bring it up, and it'll bring the feedback. Obviously, we all still do a good job of trying to prevent feedback in general. It's just, to me, it's more like, oh, this is great, because now it's if it does get feedback, just like I said, if it does get interference, it will take care of that, which is really cool.
Yeah. And keep in mind that this is per channel, so this is not a global thing that you turn on for the whole device. This is only applies to the channels that you set it on. So obviously, if you're a guitar player, you might want feedback intentionally. So I would advise not turning it on.
Yep, exactly.
But for vocals, and anything else that you might be concerned with, it's a great safety net, like you said, just like the interference management, where you can turn it on and you don't have to really worry about it.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
having
safety, yep.
feedback throughout the entire show or something.
Exactly. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, I think that's all we got to say about that. Last one. So we're going to talk about Wireless Workbench Mobile and show you how to do a direct connection, right? So if you haven't used Wireless Workbench Mobile before, it's a great mobile app that we came out with last year that allows you to kind of manage your inventory. We had the Shure Channels app before that. But this this app really behaves more like Wireless Workbench, where you can do frequency scans, you can change frequencies, you can pretty much change any setting that you could change on a transmitter or via the front panel of the receiver. You can change within the Wireless Workbench mobile software, but you had to have a wireless router connected to your network switch in order to be able to use that app with your system. And now with the new SLXD Plus system, that all can happen via Bluetooth. So you can still do the router. You can still set up the router and do that. If you have that already set up, you don't have to switch from that. But if you don't want to have to set that up and you would just want to be able to connect your iPad or your mobile phone to the system, you can do that directly via Bluetooth. And so Scott created a great video for us that shows how easy that is to set up. So let's watch that real quick.
So to get these set up with Wireless Workbench Mobile, that is done over Bluetooth. So I'm going to go into the settings of this first one. I'm going to go down to device configuration and then connectivity. And you're going to do app connection. And then you just have to put it into pairing mode. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. This is the model with Dante. It's pretty much the same thing. Scroll down to device configuration. You have to scroll past a couple more menus. Go to connectivity, app connection, and set it into the pairing mode. So now in Wireless Workbench, on the app, you go up to the menu, up in the upper right, and go to Bluetooth. And it should find the two that are currently in pairing mode. So I'm just going to click and connect to them. Pair just like you would any other Bluetooth device. And you can see it shows that it's successfully paired on the receiver as well. So now I have access to all 8 of the channels that I currently have set up. Then you can see on the app, I can make changes to any of these. So I'm going to click where it says extra guitar. I'm going to click the 3 dots in the upper right, and I'm going to rename this. So let's say this is our bass player's wireless today. Save, and you'll see that it changes on the receiver. Now that one's saved as bass. So now when I'm ready to do a scan, I'm going to go up to the upper right, and I'm going to click Find New Frequencies. This is also really cool because normally you have to shut off your transmitters before you do a scan. However, with SLXD Plus, it will actually mute the RF on the connected devices. Watch this. Once I hit begin, you can see that on these 4 channels that are on right now, it actually does an RF mute on all of them. So I don't even have to turn my packs off, because normally you have to turn your packs off and then do a scan. You actually don't even need to do that with the SLXD Plus, which is awesome. I'm gonna hit try again, and it'll realize that those are muted now, and now it's scanning. So I'm gonna let this happen in real time. It's scanning for 8 channels across the entire UHF frequency range, 470 to 608 megahertz. That's the legal frequency range in the United States. Pretty fast. And it gives you the option, do you want to set this to standard, robust, or more frequencies? So standard's the normal one. Robust means that the channels will be spaced out a little bit further, and more frequencies will be if you have to have more frequencies in a narrower space. But I mean, I usually do standard. I have 58 available frequencies here, so that should be fine. Although it does separate into TV channels as well if you need to stay within a specific 6 megahertz range or something like that. So I'm going to hit assign and continue. And you can see it says it's time to resync your microphones, but you can see all of them are blinking, all of them are being set to the new frequency. And I don't even have to resync because of SLXD Plus. It automatically sends the new frequency to the transmitters. All of them are set up automatically now, thanks to ShowLink Ease. Doesn't get much simpler than that.
Isn't that great?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy to use too. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And so you compare multiple mobile devices to the receivers. So you can have, you can have your iPad connected, you can have your phone connected. If you trust somebody else in the band, they can have it connected as well. But you can only have one. It can only be controlled by one device at a time. So you can't have like on a console system, where there's a Q app and multiple performers can be connected to it to control their mix. That's not the case with this one. You can only have one controlling mobile device at a time, so you don't have to worry about somebody else switching over to it and connecting it. You can reliably manage up to 7 simultaneous associations per device. You can get more than that, but we would recommend if you're going to use more than 7 systems, then probably be better to go with a dedicated wireless router for that. Yeah, I mean it's just it's a simple system.
I love that it mutes the RF too, so you don't even have to worry about turning off the mics.
Right.
Which, it's always anytime you scan, it's like, okay, turn off all the mics and then do your scan, so it doesn't see your mics as interference. Just the fact that it does the RF mute to those as well is just also another great time saver. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. And one other thing about the wireless Workbench Mobile that's really neat is that you will get alerts. So the software will give you alerts if something's happening, whether you're getting an RF overload or an audio overload or something else is happening. And not only will it give you an alert, but it'll also give you some sort of troubleshooting tip on what to do. Hey, you're getting an RF overload. Reduce power on your active antenna, or create more space between your RF antenna and your transmitter. Or if you're getting an audio overload, go into the gain and, turn that down, which you can also do within the Wireless Workbench Mobile app. You can control gain and those other features from there. So it's really good.
Yep.
Cheryl, I think we got a lot of questions, don't we?
Yes, indeed, we do. Okay. Before I really dive into these, though, there are a lot of questions about what about QLXD? What about ULXD? What about an SLX-D 8 podium mic? What about? Right. We are a private company. Shure is a private company. We do not discuss our product roadmap or plans publicly. So we're not going to talk about future product lines or future product extensions. But as you can see, we are always working to expand and improve our lines. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see things eventually change and grow across our other lines. So can't really speak to specifics, but just know, we are working behind the scenes, as I think SLX-D Plus proves, to expand and improve and make things better. So hopefully that answers most of the ULXD, QLXD questions that we're getting here in the Q&A. Okay. Let's dive into the rest of the questions now. This first one here says, how it supports, why does it support 3 cascades or not? Wait, how it supports 2. 3 cascading, not 2? Yeah. What is the difference with ULXD AD cascading? What if you need 4 to 5 cascades? So maybe just kind of talk more about cascades, how many you can do, why you can, why you can't, all of that kind of details.
So I think.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
No, go ahead.
I was like, doesn't it add when it cascades with the SLXD? It'll add 2 dB of power when you cascade, so you only lose like 1 decibel of, because if you passively combine, you want to stay above -3. You don't want to have a loss of 3 decibels of power. Am I correct on this?
You are. And that's the reason why there's a limit of 3. So obviously you can cascade more than that. But every time you cascade and split, there is a drop and then a boost. And so the more units you cascade, you're raising the noise floor for those extra units that you're cascading in that, because it's getting cut and then it's getting boost and cut and boost and cut and boost. So that's why we don't recommend beyond 3, because it starts to affect the quality of your RF signal. Not only in raising the noise floor, but then some band limiting starts to happening on the edges, and so then you lose some of the outer frequencies as you start to cascade more beyond that. So that's why there's a limit there for that. So if you need to do more than 3 systems, which again, you're cascading 3 receivers, that's 12 channels. You'll only ever need, this is the nice thing, you'll only ever need 1 extra antenna distribution unit, because a UA844, for example, is a 5-way, and you're talking about 12 channels per pair. That kind of starts to reach the maximum of how many simultaneous systems that you can have operating with an SLXD system anyway. So you'd really only ever need one external antenna distribution after that, but you would definitely need one if you're doing more than 3 units.
Mm.
Okay, great. So we kind of talked about the backwards compatibility, and I think we discussed how old legacy SLXD transmitters are usable with the new SLXD receiver. Can you reverse that? Can you use an SLXD Plus transmitter with a legacy SLXD receiver?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So in order for a legacy receiver to see a Plus transmitter, you will need to update the firmware. We came out with one more firmware update for SLXD. So you would need to upgrade to that firmware, and then they'll be able to work with the new Plus components. If you connect a Plus transmitter to a receiver, to a legacy receiver, it'll give you an encryption, or not an encryption mismatch. It'll give you a band mismatch, but it'll tune to whatever the frequency of that system is. If you're connecting a legacy transmitter to a Plus receiver, like, so for example, you already have a Quad Plus, you update the firmware in that one, and you connect a legacy transmitter to that. If the Plus is operating in that G57 wide tuning band, then it'll prompt you to then set the RF band for the receiver to whatever the transmitter is. So if you're using G58 transmitters or H55 transmitters and you go to sync them to a Plus receiver, then it'll ask you to make that switch over to that narrow band.
Okay, great. Next, we had a couple of questions about the range of the ShowLink Ease. So what is that range between transmitter to receiver?
100 feet, right? 100 feet line of sight. Yep.
Okay. So then additionally, I know they came up a little bit later. Can we talk about what might happen with interference detection when that transmitter is out of range? Does the system know that it's out of range and not do that automatic frequency switch?
That is an excellent question. I believe that the receiver does that independently of the transmitter. So the receiver will, if it's in automatic mode, the receiver will switch over to that new frequency. But yes, it could create a problem if the transmitter is out of range because it's not able to communicate. As soon as the transmitter comes back into range, it'll automatically connect and resync to that. But yes, that is a possibility that if they are out of range of the ShowLink Ease and interference occurs, that there would be a delay until that transmitter is back within range.
That's a very specific situation that would happen with that. Yeah. Being 100 feet away and right at that moment that the interference would happen. So, but yeah. that is a good question though.
Yeah.
All right. Next question regarding syncing. So to clarify, the only time you have to sync again is if you change what transmitter goes to what channel, and before that you would have to unlink the transmitter from that to that channel, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
right.
Great. Mm-hmm. All right, another QLXD ULXD question that we discussed. Okay, so here's a question, and I don't know if there is a use case for this, but how would ShowLink Ease accommodate having both a handheld transmitter and a body body pack transmitter assigned to the same receiver. So maybe I would assume they're in a situation where they're using one or the other, turning one off before turning on the other. So could you potentially have a handheld and a body pack linked to the same channel?
Yes. Yeah. If you go into, when you go into the channel menu option for transmitter, there will be an option to add a second transmitter. So you'll want to have already synced, done an RF scan, and synced the first transmitter and link that together. And then turn that off, obviously, because if you have automatic interference management turned on and you turn on another transmitter and sync it to that same frequency, then it's going to start a frequency war of going back and forth and trying to change channels. So sync the first transmitter, link it, turn it off, then go into the channel menu for that transmitter and go to the adds a second link transmitter, and it'll give you the option to then sync that to the IR port. And once then you make that, then make sure you turn that pack off. So yes, you can only have one. You can have ShowLink Ease connect sync to link to two transmitters, but they obviously have to be turned off and on accordingly. You can't have them on simultaneously, otherwise it'll create interference.
Okay. Okay, here's an interesting question. If one were to network SLX-D plus receivers with SLX-D standard legacy, can one control the regular SLX-D over Bluetooth?
No.
Yeah, no.
In that case, you would want a wireless router, and then you would be able to see and control. Because Wireless Workbench Mobile works with multiple systems. You can use it with ULXD and
Axient.
And so there's multiple systems that you can have, but only the SLX-D Plus has that Bluetooth direct connection with Wireless Workbench. So for any other systems that may be a part of it, you wouldn't want to have a router for that.
Okay. How is the range of ShowLink Ease impacted by being installed in a metal rack, or if it's in a back room away from the stage? Or does the Bluetooth use whatever antenna system has been installed in a venue?
No, that Bluetooth connection is built into the devices themselves. So if you're doing, if you have a rack, back in an equipment room, off stage, then that will affect the performance of that. So I would want to make sure that system is close on stage, side stage, backstage.
That's a good question.
If you're utilizing the ShowLink Ease, you don't want it in a back room. You don't want it in a metal cage. Mm-hmm. It needs to be line of sight. So, this is if you're using a situation where you need that, then this probably isn't the solution for you, or you're going to have to not use the ShowLink Ease there. So, quick question here. I do not see where the online frequency finder has been updated with the SLX-D Plus series and the G57 band. I'd like to get an idea of possible channel count in different cities. That is coming. I would assume it's going to be updated soon. If not, I would say maybe reach out to our support team at shure.com/contact, open a channel or open up a ticket with our support team, and they can probably give you a better idea while we're waiting for those updates to happen. Yep. So I think we did touch on this, but just to reiterate, does the interference management cause any audible noises in the PA system?
Just like the normal sound that you would get if you were getting interference, if everyone's ever heard that. But then it will update, and take, like Paul said, about, 3 seconds to update to the new frequency. And something I do just kind of want to bring up, if someone is like, well, there's still 3 seconds of a pause. It's like, well, if you've ever been in that situation where you've gotten interference, you normally have to run over to the thing or to the receiver, do a scan, do a channel scan, and then manually IR sync. Like, that takes way longer than how fast that this happens. So, and 3 seconds feels like a lot to us performing, but in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. So.
3 seconds versus multiple dropouts. I know which one I would take.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and sometimes you don't even know, if you've got multiple wireless on stage, you might not know, not notice which channel that, It's like, well, wait, where is that coming from?
Totally.
Was it a fluke thing, or is it actual interference? So then there's time where you have to assess the situation, and usually you're kind of like waiting for it to happen again.
Yeah.
Before you and see it to know, oh, it's this channel. Let me go over and and take care of it. So that whole process
by the time you figure it out,
can take like a minute versus the 3 to 5 seconds of letting the system manage itself. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, another question about ShowLink Ease. When it automatically selects a new frequency in interference management, what kind of intermodulation spacing does it calculate by? That might be a little too under the hood for us.
Yeah, well, so like I said, it's operating within that group, right? So when we have group channel assignments, within group 3 or group 1, we've already accounted for the proper channel spacing between those channels. So as long as it's doing a single channel scan within that group, you can trust that whatever channel it's going to find is not going to create additional interference with other channels in the system, because it's operating within that group. So it's going to account for, when it does a scan, it's accounting again for all RF interference that might be happening in that environment, and it's looking for the next available channel within that group.
And that's why it's important to scan and initialize when you get to a new gig. Yep. Or you get to a new show.
So speaking of backup frequencies, is there a bank that you can put in for the system to go to, or is it just sort of done automatically through a scan?
It's done automatically through a scan. So no, there is no backup list like you would have in like a spectrum manager, like an 8600, where you do a scan and then it creates a list of backup frequencies to pull from. No, so it's just, and when it does that initial setup, it's just assigning the best available channels at that time. And then whenever it's doing it's just doing a single channel scan, channel scan within that group.
So does that change any when you're using Wireless Workbench and you have backup frequencies scanned?
Now you can. So if you're working, so that was just for automatic interference management, right? So if you're doing, alert mode only or manual mode, and you're operating, you're managing your system through Wireless Workbench, then yes, then you can pull from your available backup list. If you've created a backup list, you can pull from that list and deploy to that channel if you want to. And then when you deploy to that receiver, once that receiver channel changes, if it's ShowLink Ease connected, then it'll automatically update the transmitter simultaneously.
Okay. What interference management mode is on by default?
Alerts.
Alerts?
Alerts. Alerts is on by default. You have to change it to manual or automatic.
Okay. Next, we have some questions about DFR and those first 8. Will the DFR release the first 8 after a set period of time, or does it happen when you recycle or resync or restart the system? When does that reset?
Yeah, so everything gets reset when you switch it back to off. So it goes from off to on to locked. And once you've locked it, then you can't go back to on again. You have to go to off to reset the filters. So I highly recommend not doing that during the middle of the show. But you would definitely want to reset it as you go from gig to gig, right? Because stages are different, monitor setups are different, front of house main speaker positions are different. So those feedback frequencies are going to change from gig to gig. So you definitely don't want to leave it on or locked and then keep those same frequencies into the next gig, because that might not be necessary. So I would definitely reset them and set them to off, or when you get to the next gig, go into those channels, switch them to off, and then turn them back on, so that then they're creating a frequency notching filters for that new venue.
Quick order of operations question for you two, Scott and Paul. We are just at time now. We still have quite a few questions. Are you good to keep going?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Just want to make sure we're being sensitive to everybody's time.
Yeah.
If you do have to drop off this session now because you have another meeting, please note these will all be in the recording when it's available. So if you got to go, don't worry. We'll answer as many of these as we can, and they will be in the recording. All right. So moving on. It was recommended before that all systems be in the same group. Is that still true with SLX-D Plus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Groups are great.
Yeah. Well, again, because of channel assignments, right, within that group, we've accounted for proper channel spacing between that. So if you're operating in different groups, right, then those frequencies may create interference with each other. And so then if you're using other systems, obviously there's a much broader frequency coordination that has to happen, either manually or through wireless workbench or workbench mobile. But you obviously want to do proper frequency coordination for everything. But yes, within the system, it's best to keep it operating in the same group.
Okay, we have got a couple of questions here about the DFR and about how it affects sort of the overall tone and color of things. Does it change the audio tone a lot or just a little? And would it affect the clarity of vocals? And could it end up causing the EQ to sound muddy? A pertinent question for me, because I hate when certain notches of my voice get notched out by a sound person, especially in my ears.
Yeah.
Scott, what's your experience? You've been using it.
I mean, that's always a battle, and that's true whether you manually notch out those filters or use DFR. If you notch too much, I always say don't. A lot of people will notch it and then they bring it all the way down and they have like the Q a little too wide. Make sure it's narrow. I guess I'd be curious on how far or how much of a decibel cut does DFR do, because that I don't know. But I mean, that's a risk whether if you're trying to cut out frequency notches. If you're using DFR or a mixer and manually doing it, that's always a risk. But to me, it's like I'd rather have that than feedback. So, But
fantastic.
I mean, it is a notch filter. I don't know this on the specifics in terms of the Q or how much what's the default gain attenuation that happens. But I mean, it's set up as a notch filter, so I would imagine that it's a very sharp Q on that. But I would be curious in finding out what the decibel drop on that is. I mean, usually, especially with your first 8, as in this case, usually your first ones you tend to cut a little bit more than some of the later ones. But I didn't notice that it making a big difference in terms of the tonal quality of it. Other than just taking care of those normal feedback frequencies. And you're going to have to notch them out anyway, whether it's the DFR that's doing it, or you're manually controlling it on your console.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to notch those things out one way or the other. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. There's a lot of questions of people saying, I have ULX or ULXD or QLXD. Should I dump my system? Should I blah, blah, blah? I'm going to jump in and say, if they're still working, no, of course not.
Yeah.
We don't want to waste good systems.
It depends on your situation, right? If you really want some of these features, obviously, because those things are not available. ULXD is now wideband as well. So it doesn't operate in the narrow bands of G50 and H50. You can upgrade in ULXD to wideband as well. But there's still things that you can do with QLXD and ULXD that you can't with SLXD. And one of those is channel density. SLXD Plus is 11 channels per TV, 6 megahertz TV station. QLXD and ULXD, I believe, is at least 17 channels.
17,
So if you're, and if you're in a large city where there's a lot of, interference and you maybe only have 1 or 2 TV channels to operate in, QLXD or ULXD might be the better option for you, because you can get, more channels in that space than you would be able to with SLXD Plus.
And ULXD Plus, ULXD has a high density mode as well. So I believe it's 40,
and then
47.
you can squeeze even more channels into that using high density mode with ULXD as well. So yeah, there's still markets for for everything.
I'm glad that was your answer, because that's how I've been answering that when I get that question in my YouTube comments. So I mentioned high density mode as well. So channel density. So
and you never know what's coming, around the bend. As you can see, as I said earlier, we are constantly updating. So if you don't need to make a change now, maybe things will be different in a year, 2 years, 10 years. It's better to better to use what you've got, and if this is what you need, then this is what you need. So okay, when scanning with Wireless Workbench desktop, does the RF mute also work, or is that just with Wireless Workbench mobile?
Anytime that the receiver, no, if you're doing a scan within Wireless Workbench, no, the transmitters are going to stay on, and Workbench will take those into account when doing a scan. That muting only happens when you're using Wireless Workbench mobile, that it does that.
Okay, sorry, I had to refresh my Q&A. All right, let's see. With regards to DFR, is there an option to see and or edit the notch filtering in Wireless Workbench or other tools similar to the old DFR 22? Or is it just
you can
more
only
automatic?
view them? Yeah. When you lock them, then you can see it'll display the list of frequencies that were notched so that you can see what those are, but you can't go in and edit them or control them in any way. We just show them to you so that you know. Yeah.
Does Wireless Workbench Mobile remember the last used configurations? And how about multiple previously used configurations, or do you need to set it up each time you use it?
With Wireless Workbench Mobile?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it defaults to whatever the system is at that time. So whenever you turn on the system and you open Wireless Workbench Mobile, I mean, it's showing you the inventory as is. So it's not like with Wireless Workbench itself, where you can have different shows and you can save different shows and pull them up. Wireless Workbench Mobile is just showing you what's available live at that moment and what the previous settings were.
Okay. Could you use a ULXD1 or 81 on G57 with the new SLX-D Plus receiver, looking for metal construction body pack for my rougher users?
Yeah, no, it's different technology. They talk to each other differently, so there's no cross compatibility between systems. That's true with ULXD, Axient Digital, any of those things. QLXD and ULXD are the only two systems that share a cross compatibility against cross platforms. Okay.
There's a couple of questions then back to ShowLink Ease. So when you say line of sight, does orientation of the transmitter and receiver matter, or is it just 100-foot different distance in the same room?
Yes.
In the same room. Yeah. And somebody asked, I think we talked about this before, there really isn't any way to extend the range of ShowLink Ease. You've just got to make sure they're within 100 feet of each other.
Yeah, there's no you can't do like a BLE extender or anything like that. It's all built into the receiver, built into the transmitter, and that's why it has to be line of sight with each other.
When is SLXD Plus shipping, and will it take place of existing SLXD, or will it be in addition to?
It's replacing SLXD. So SLXD will continue on as long as we have stock. But yes, the legacy SLXD is being replaced by SLXD Plus, and I believe it started shipping earlier this week.
Awesome. I don't think this is something necessarily we can ask. I think is there an upgrade path for existing SLXD gear to use the feature of SLXD Plus? No, there's no firmware updates or anything like that. So no.
There is a firmware update for cross compatibility, but not to unlock any features, because those are going to be inherent in the devices themselves.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. How immune to outside RF interference is the SLX-D system, such as when the user puts the transmitter in the same pocket he has a cell phone in, which, by the way, that would be a very large pocket.
Yeah, mobile phones are a weird thing. I've been in plenty of situations where, musical directors have everybody, turn their phones off because it can create noise, in their in-ears or whatever. I haven't noticed a problem. Have you seen a problem, Scott, with it getting any interference from phones or other devices?
No, not with that, especially since the system's digital. I mean, that's digital, way less noisy. So I haven't had any issues with it. So
yeah.
Okay. Scott, there's a request here for you to start a Discord so that you can talk about all the various audio topics amongst all your fans and subscribers. So
I gotta figure out how to use Discord then. I can figure out wireless stuff pretty easily, but I haven't figured out Discord. So I'll have to figure that out. Yeah.
Same boat, my friend, same boat. Regarding the DFR, how easy is it to release the locked frequencies? We talked about that. You just have to cycle it off and on. And then I think we also discussed it, asked how deep do the notch filters go, i.e. when level down do they stop? I don't think we know exactly how. I think we discussed we weren't quite sure how deep they went.
Yeah, I'll find that answer out, and when we put the webinar back up, I'll drop a little icon right there.
We kind of discussed this about how does ShowLink Ease deal with TV channels that aren't available in a certain area? Can you block off certain channels from the frequencies that are used? Again, it's going to scan in real time. So if they're not available, it's going to see they're not available and not use them. Well,
like Scott demonstrated in the Wireless Workbench Mobile, you can select a specific TV channel if you need to operate within a channel. And depending on that count, right? If you're only using a few channels and there's some available backup channels, then when it does an interference scan, it'll scan within that TV channel to find the next available one, right? But there's a limit of 11 up to 11 channels per TV band. So it just depends on how many channels that you're using. But if you're talking about, when you start getting into exclusions and inclusions and that kind of stuff, then I would default to, using Wireless Workbench to set that up so that you're operating only within the spaces that you need to.
Okay. Will the DFR and frequency selection survive a power cycle? What would the impact of a power cycle be, for instance, at a festival?
I haven't noticed anything with power cycling. Have you?
What you like turning it off and turning it back on at a show at a festival? I guess I don't quite understand what the question is.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe they're speaking about the transmitters maybe and not so much the receivers, but yeah, I'm not sure because
if we're talking about DFR, I mean the DFR will stay at whatever it was whenever it was turned off.
Maybe that's what they're asking.
It will reset. I don't know if it would reset it. No, because it locks the first 8. So I would assume that if it power cycles off after a gig and you turn it back on, then it's going to default to whatever channels were being notched out at the beginning of that. So no, that's why I would recommend turning it off and turning it back on again for the DFRs so that you reset all the filters for that. The only thing I've noticed with is if you do like a factory reset on a receiver, and then you go to open up Wireless Workbench Mobile, if you've paired it previously, then there will be a disconnect then because you've done a factory reset on the receiver. your phone will still see the receiver, but the receiver won't recognize your phone. So you're going to have to go into your Bluetooth settings of your phone, remove that device from your Bluetooth list, and then go back and redo that pairing mode over again. But that's the only problem that I've noticed. And I wouldn't say it was a problem, but that's the only thing I've noticed in terms of, power cycling and, resets.
Okay. Does using the DFR on multiple channels at the same time affect Dante latency?
No.
Okay. A question about using cascading antennas or antenna distribution in cascades. Can you use the cascading antenna on an SLX-D plus receiver with an SLX-D legacy unit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There's some sort of unrelated questions here that I'm going to gloss over just for time. Another question about ULXD. Again, we can't talk about future product enhancements, but we're always working to expand and improve. How do the possible SLXD plus working frequency counts compare with Axient digital working frequency counts?
Like how many you can use at once?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's the question.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's still significantly higher.
Yeah, Axient's much higher. Yeah, especially with high density.
That's the big separator, right? In any wireless system between different tiers of products of wireless systems is how many simultaneous systems can you use at one time, right? That's the biggest differentiator between them. And so you'll always have that, so Axient Digital, still, outperforms in terms of, channel density, because it has standard mode and then it also has high density mode as well. And so you can pack anywhere from 17 channels. I think the high density mode is like 40 something channels per TV channel.
Yeah.
So if you're working in large channel counts, in areas with limited amounts of frequency spacing, Axient Digital, ULXD, QLXD is still the best option for those types of applications. Yeah. SLXD Plus is nice because it opens it up. Now you don't have to worry about which narrow band you need. Yeah. You can, there's a little bit more freedom to travel from one city to the next, using it and knowing that you can have it. So,
okay. All right. I think that pretty much wraps up all the questions. Everything else we've got is either slightly unrelated or something that we've answered already. If we did somehow miss your question, though, for one reason or the other, as I mentioned earlier, you can always open up a ticket with our support team by going to shure.com/contact. We have an amazing team of application support engineers that can answer so many questions across all of our products, all sorts of audio topics. So shure.com/contact to open up a ticket and get all of your audio and Shure questions answered. I want to thank you all.
Wait.
Paul, please go ahead.
I just remembered something.
Hey.
So Scott, I'm going to plug Scott first. So Scott has a great SLXD Plus product review and how-to guide. So I highly recommend that you go to his YouTube page and watch his video because he did an excellent job of doing a deep dive review of the product and all the different features, even the ones we didn't talk about, like audio summing and encryption and that kind of stuff. And so he did a great review for that as well. And we also, on behalf of Shure Academy, we also have 2 courses of our own. We have a product overview course that goes into all the different components and features and benefits of the SLXD Plus. And we also have an SLXD Plus technical course that goes into as well how to, and we get more specific into things like encryption and audio summing and adding that second transmitter, how that happens. So we also have courses as well that you can go to Shure Academy and register for those courses as well. So thank you, Scott, for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Scott, thank you so much. And thanks everybody.
Sure, now you can do your spiel.
No worries. Yeah, this has been exciting. I know I'm really excited about SLXD Plus and got to figure out when I can upgrade my SLXD to it. But thank you so much for joining us. As I said, again, if you have any questions, you can go to shure.com/contact. And we want to thank you so much for joining us and have a great day. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.